Hello and welcome. Welcome to another Solution Sunday. Because the soul, the grand beings of light we are, is the solution. Being who we truly are lets us create a whole new reality. Today, every day, I am Lisa Warner. I am the author of The Simplicity of Self-Healing and creator of Solution Sunday. And today we are here with my new friend, Benjamin Burchall. Ben grew up in a Baptist and Seventh-day Adventist church. In 1989, he was ordained as a youth elder at the New Life Seventh-day Adventist Church in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Ben also served as a prison minister, an in-home Bible teacher, and evangelist. But after coming to understand God as the source and substance of all, rather than as a being in heaven, he left the traditional Christian church in 1995. After beginning his studies of New Thought at the Center for Spiritual Living in Paoli, Pennsylvania, and still feeling the call to ministry, he was ordained to help aid the transformation of the planet and the people's individual lives in 1998. Since then, he has founded and led 2 New Thought spiritual communities in California and 1 in South Carolina. His mission is the healing of lives through the expansion of New Thought community. Ben, welcome to Solution Sunday.
Hello, hello. Thank you for having me.
It is an honor and a pleasure. I love that you are all about new thoughts, because I have discovered that when I started thinking different thoughts, I started to get a different reality. Imagine that.
Same here. And, every day and every moment really is a new reality.
Yeah.
So we don't have to wait for January 1 for New Year's. That's an artificial thing anyway. Any moment is a new day, and I always say good morning, no matter what time of the day or night, because morning is the beginning of the day and any moment is a new beginning.
Exactly. So it's my awareness, after struggling through my life for a really long time, it became clear to me that I had been taught to think a whole lot of thoughts that really didn't serve me very well in the health
Mm.
and happiness and wealth and relationship arenas. And I realized that in order to get a different result, I had to start thinking differently. When I found myself facing cancer, I realized that the medical model was not the way I wanted to go. Although everybody went that route, basically, it was kind of the thing to do. But I realized that that was really not my route. So I decided that I needed to go inside, because I knew that somewhere inside all those answers were. And that if I could access my own answers, I could solve my own problems. And what came out of that whole thing was I healed my body by changing my consciousness. I
Mm.
changed my entire thought process. And it wasn't that I consciously said, okay, I'm going to think different thoughts about this. I just got really quiet. I opened up and I received clear guidance, a clear picture of what was actually happening, which then allowed me to simply know different things. So my entire thought process changed in that moment of kind of enlightenment, when suddenly I realized, hey, Lisa, your body's not being attacked by cancer. Your body is responding to your emotions and your thoughts. And from that moment on, I really looked at, what am I thinking? And how am I feeling? And how can I bring that into alignment with what I really want?
Yeah, I had a very similar situation myself with my own cancer story. It's only been recently that I've even put the C word in there. I usually tell the story without even mentioning cancer. I just tell people that there was something going on in my lungs. And that was during a period when I actually was rejecting spirituality. And, but when I heard that C word in the doctor's office, I didn't hear anything else after that. Everything just went gray.
Yep.
And went home, and it's just what I needed to force me to delve into this spiritual thing again. But I was in such fear that I couldn't really help myself. The first thing I had to do just to start helping myself is just be grateful. That was really the first thing I started doing. And for me, that was, you know what, I'm so grateful for this medical science that could at least tell me what I'm dealing with. And I had to practice that every single day, just being grateful until I could get to the point where I was able to start visualizing. And I just saw my lungs healthy. And I saw the knot in them just shrinking and shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. I was still in fear, though. I've got to say, a lot of people think that you have to always be in a quote high vibration, which they equate to feeling good, having, ebullient emotions. And I've come to see that that's not true.
Mhm.
It's only true if you believe it. But I was still able to manifest my healing, even though I had plenty of moments of fear. When they went in to do the biopsy, they didn't find whatever it was that was there. What they did find was the damage that it had done. So, they took out the dead tissue, and my lung had adhered to the back of my chest cavity. So they freed it from that. But to this day, they still don't know what caused the damage because it was gone. So I'm a testament from that story, plus so many more, that we do have this ability to command our health. We don't have to succumb to the idea that something is terminal, that something is chronic and can't be healed or at least dealt with in a pleasant way. But if we do, then we get what we believe.
Exactly. It happens as we believe.
Yeah, yeah. As I talk to people about manifestation, um, nowadays we have this sort of online manifesting community. And a lot of people sort of in these circles are looking for the next and the best technique.
Mm.
You know, what affirmation can I say? Or what technique that I haven't heard before can I try that's going to work? When the reality is you are the technique. You are the power.
Mhm.
And we don't have to go looking for the latest, greatest something that somebody else is doing. Because as you say all the time, you know, it's right here. The guidance comes from within if we just quiet long enough to just listen. And for me, I don't have to quiet very long because I hear my guidance as a voice. I'm clairaudient. So it speaks to me. And every once in a while, it will speak so loudly that I think it's outside somewhere. There's someone talking to me outside of me. But I get very clear guidance. And we all have that ability. We're just taught not to pay attention to it because that's just your imagination, or as you might have heard in certain Christian churches, like I did growing up. Oh, that's the devil. You better not listen to that voice.
Right? Crazy the thoughts that we have been taught to think.
Yeah, and it's amazing how everything good we're taught to look at as evil.
Yes. We live in a backwards society.
I mean, it's amazing. And, quite
Mhm.
frankly, it has to do with our religious heritage. It's something about the Abrahamic religions that instills guilt, shame, and fear in people. And I used to tell people that, well, when we're looking at the Abrahamic religions, we can say that Judaism created guilt. The Catholic Church gave it to everybody on the planet, and the Seventh-day Adventist Church that I came from perfected it, because everything in the Seventh-day Adventist Church is a sin. There's hardly anything that you can do that isn't a sin. So they create this sort of mental and emotional imbalance within you. And then they give you this made up religion that is supposed to be the cure, but it never cures you. And it just keeps you locked into the belief system and locked under their thought control. And it's so hard for people that grow up like that, like I did, to escape it. That's why there's a need for religious recovery therapy and support, because even after I left that kind of religious experience, I still had this fear of hell,
Mm,
probably for about a year and a half to 2 years.
mhm,
Not that it was on my mind all the time, but every now and then it would come to my mind,
mhm,
and it's very fearful because we are given these beliefs when we're pre-verbal. We don't even yet have language and a conscious thinking mind to evaluate what we're being told. So it exists in us as an emotional state, not an intellectual thought. So even though you may grow out of those mindsets intellectually, that emotional state is still alive. And sometimes it takes real work to get beyond it.
absolutely. I have come to look at emotions as energy in motion. And when I started to realize that fear, doubt, guilt, shame are energies, I realized that energy isn't personal. But fear, doubt, guilt, and shame are definitely personal because we feel them within our person. And it's very difficult to get rid of those thought patterns of fear, doubt, guilt, blame, and shame. And
Yeah.
it what I discovered is it is far, far simpler to learn how to clear the energy out of your energy field, because all of those thought patterns are attached to the energy. And when we realize that energy is not personal, but the energy is generating these patterns in our lives, it's like because the thought plus the emotion equals the experience.
Mhm.
So if we want a different experience, we have to work on the other side of the equation. Like we can't try to change the experience without changing either the thought or the emotion that's attached to it. And I realized that
Yeah.
if we clear the energy out, the thought pattern goes with it because they're attached to each other. And by changing those, you change your experience.
Yes. Yes. I teach something similar about affirmations when I'm teaching and coaching people. The real benefit of an affirmation to me is that when you say it, you get to observe the emotional energy that comes as a response to it. And when you can identify that you have an emotional response that's in contradiction to the words that you're speaking, now you know what to work on.
Uh,
But just saying something over and over and over that you don't believe, at least in my experience, it doesn't do a thing but set up this internal battle in yourself.
yep.
And you wonder why it's not working, because that's the common sort of metaphysical suggestion, is to say affirmations.
Right. Yep.
And for so many people, it doesn't work. Oh, it works great if you're saying things that you at least believe a little, But when this fear and doubt is existing in you very strongly in your emotional body, saying a positive affirmation, I haven't found it to work at all.
Exactly.
And but when your emotional body, what we say, your vibration changes, then all of a sudden comes out these affirmations, because there's something that even the Bible says, that it is out of the abundance of the heart that the mouth speaks.
Mhm.
So the true affirmation is what's coming out of the heart. What we're saying gives us clues as to what's going on inside. So the thoughts are the same thing. The thoughts are only telling us where our vibration is right now. And the thoughts are not personal either. I like I like how Byron Katie says there are no new thoughts. We're antennas picking up thoughts that have been previously thought by billions of human beings,
Yes,
both living and dead, because once a thought is thought, it doesn't go away. The
exactly.
thought continues to exist in the thought atmosphere, and we pick up those thoughts, and sometimes we don't even know why these thoughts are coming to our minds, but it's because that's where our vibration is. So it's just pulling in, like an antenna on a radio,
Mhm.
thoughts that are on the same frequency as your own personal vibration, which really is your emotional state.
Exactly. We look out at the world and we see thoughts being broadcast loud and clear all day, every day through the media. You know, it's like, and most of those thoughts really don't feel very good. Death, destruction, devastation coming
Mhm.
at you. Like, really? Like,
That's why I haven't even owned a television since 1999.
thank you. Me too. Right?
And people, whenever I tell people I don't own a television, I don't watch TV, a lot of times they look at me like I'm nuts. Like, what do
Right?
you mean you don't watch TV? I said, human beings have been around for a really long time. We've only had television for what, less than a century?
Right?
It's like, so there's more life to be lived. Why would I sit down to watch people pretend to live
Right?
as opposed to going out there and living myself?
Exactly, and isn't it funny that they call it tell-a-vision? They
It's
just
television.
right, exactly, yes,
It's
so they just
television,
tell
because they're
vision.
telling us lies
Yes,
constantly.
yeah,
And I'm not talking about politics, because that's where people's minds go. When I say that, I'm talking about everything from health to relationships to
yeah,
sex to there there's a reason it's called programming.
yes, yes,
It's called programming for a reason.
yeah,
So I want to program my own mind.
yeah,
So I don't have a television. And when I first got rid of television, the internet wasn't what it is now.
mhm,
But now the internet, I absolutely adore the internet, because I can go on and I can search for what I want to find. I
yes,
can choose. Whereas with the television, yeah, you can choose different channels, but everything on that channel is something someone's pumping into your home. You
exactly,
can't even pause it. Well, you can do it with like TiVo or whatever, but regular television, you can't even pause it. You have to watch when they want you to watch, and
right,
whatever is on that channel is what you've got. But now with the internet, people can tune into shows like yours and other people, and choose to be uplifted and to find information that's going to help them to manifest the good life that they want, rather than just having their senses tickled and used to keep their eyes on that screen, so those companies can sell your attention through advertisement.
exactly, and they're directing people's behavior, and they just simply, they call us cattle, And they just basically gather us all together and go, here, this is where you're all going to go now. You know, killer virus on the loose. Here, this is what you're going to do now. This is what you're going to do about that. Like,
Yeah.
wow, really? Yeah, I don't think so.
It's
But
even in the music. It's
yep,
interesting. I was watching a
all
video
connected.
overnight because I work overnight, but with my job, I get lots of downtime. So I get to, pardon me, I get to watch videos or do whatever I want to do. And this ad came on, which as soon as the ad, when it says skip after 5, 4, 3, 2,
Yep,
1, skip,
yep,
that's what I do. Can't
exactly.
do it with non-skippable ads, but this ad came on and it had this song in it saying, I shop like a billionaire, shop like a billionaire.
Right?
And it just kept repeating that over and over, shop like a billionaire,
Wow.
shop like a billionaire. And I'm listening to this and I'm going, they're programming people
Yep.
to think that they get happiness through shopping, which means spending your life energy, because that's what you're doing when you're spending money, because you had to go to work to make that money some kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they're planting in people's minds that billionaires, quote, shop.
Right.
And I'm like, and I thought to myself, if people really understood, millionaires and billionaires are not what people think they are. Sure, you've got the ones that are like wear their wealth on their sleeves. You get them, but that's not most of them. Most of them live very modestly. You would see them in the store and not even know it because they're not dressing flashy. Even if what they have on, they may have on a shirt that's $200 or $300, maybe, but there's no emblem, so you don't even know what the label is, what the manufacturer is, and they're typically plain clothes. So if you're really going to be shopping like a millionaire or billionaire, it's not like that song was leading people to believe.
Mm-hmm.
What they're shopping for more are assets so that they can keep their wealth growing. Whereas they pump out to the masses, shop, 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 spend, spend, buy, buy.
Mm-hmm.
It's like with Black Friday. For me, that is Blackout Friday. I absolutely do no shopping whatsoever. I don't even go to the grocery store if I can help it.
Yep.
Just as a statement to myself that I'm not buying into this mindset of go and work and then spend it all to enrich other people.
Exactly. And how do you think those millionaires and billionaires became wealthy? They own the companies like that we're pumping our money into getting stuff. Money's going straight up to the top
Mhm.
of this pyramid. And we all know
And people are not
pyramid
getting it.
is not
They're not getting it. I was encouraging my Facebook friends. Every now and then I'll post something about investing. And I said, oh, dividends are awesome.
mm,
And I did it purposely just to see who would respond. And I did have a friend to respond asking me for advice. And this same person had in the past said, well, I don't know how to do any of that. I would love to learn. Tell me that in this day and age, you've I was going to grab my phone, but it's too far away. I've got a computer in my hand that I can find any information on the planet at fingertips. And you're saying you're interested in something, but you're not actually looking for the information.
mm,
You're not really interested.
right? It's like we're so conditioned to be spoon fed that we rely
Exactly.
on everybody else to tell us what to do.
And that's exactly what happened in this person's response to my latest post about dividend investing,
Mm,
basically asking me for what I'm investing in. So I
mm,
said, well, I'm not going to, share my business.
mm,
However, here's, a YouTube channel that I suggest. You
mm.
can go on right here on Facebook, and there are lots of investment groups. I really encourage you to look them up. And they responded back saying, well, thank you anyway. So because I'm not going to spoon feed you, you're not going to go and look up information that's freely available to you 24 hours, 6 days a week, 7 days a week at your fingertips. And people do that with their health as well.
Absolutely. Yes.
They want someone else to spoon feed them every single bit of information
Yeah.
rather than, well, even if you don't know to go within, which that's really the best place to go. But
Exactly.
even if you don't know that, at least go on the internet and look up some information. We still have libraries
Yeah.
where you can get
Unfortunately,
great information
yeah,
about
unfortunately, the
things.
majority of that information out there, it turns out is really actually inaccurate. Unless we're talking about, like, there are ways that the universe works. Like we've all heard about the law of attraction, right? It's like what we emit, we get back. The frequency that we put out is the frequency that comes back as our reality. And there are biological laws of how our bodies actually function. We're just told, oh, there's something wrong with your body. Your body's malfunctioning. Here, if there's a pill for that, or, oh, well, that part doesn't work anymore. So let's just take that out and we'll give you a different part. Really? Well, our bodies are designed to heal themselves, but there's not a lot of information out on the internet about how the body actually is designed to heal itself. So it's harder to find good health information out there because it's all just the programming.
Mm.
You're being attacked by disease. Here's how you do this. This is what you do.
Well, there's a lot of good information out there that I've seen, but the thing about how things manifest is that you'll find what's in alignment with your vibration.
Exactly.
So you may not see the information that you really need because you're focused in a certain kind of way
Exactly.
that keeps you from seeing what's there.
Mm,
It's like, I remember years and years ago, I'm old enough, to have been around before we had personal computers where we could look things up, but we had books at home that were herb libraries.
right.
These books still exist. All this knowledge is on the internet that you can find. There's even more of it now because more people have done more research. But if you only think, if you think that the only source of information is the doctor and the hospital, you're not even going to think to look at that stuff, even though it could be sitting there right in front of you.
Exactly, 'cause doctors aren't allowed to learn about herbs. Like, you can't prescribe an herb. You can't make any money on prescribing an herb, and even if you do, you get punished. Like, we have to see how that system is all set up. It's
Yeah. And I've had my hands in all of it. And I've taken bits and pieces, whatever worked for me in the moment. However, what I know is that when I get clear about my health, I simply tell it my body to do what I want it to do, and it does it. It's it's amazing how that happens. And if someone were to say, well, how does that work? I would tell them, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think anybody actually knows. It's just like, I just raised my arm. I don't know how to do that. I couldn't tell you how I did that. All I know is somehow I commanded my hand to go up and it did.
mm,
And I never question it. I don't know how, my electric stove really works. I know that the electricity makes it work, but I don't really know how that happens. I don't know how my car works, but I get in the car and I turn it on and I drive and it does what I tell it to do.
Right?
But when it comes to manifesting our lives, all of a sudden people want to know how it works and they won't believe it until you can explain to them how it works. So then different people come up with their theories. So I think all of the theories of how manifestation works, the value of them isn't that they're literal truth, because they're probably not literal truth. But because life works according to your belief, if the explanation is such that it helps you to believe, that's what's important. So it doesn't matter if you go to one counselor or minister or whatever, and they tell you it works one way, and then another one tells you it works a different way. Pick the one that makes the most sense to you and go with it, because it's you're going with it by your belief that's going to make it effective for you. So I argue with people less and less these days about manifestation and spiritual things, because I know that in any given perspective, everything is true. Everything is true in the perspective in which it's housed. Now, that doesn't mean that I have to accept somebody else's truth. I get to accept truth as it makes sense to me.
Exactly. Yes.
So it's true that, this organ is bad and it needs to be taken out. It's true. Everything is true in a given perspective. And I don't have to argue with them about it. I can choose a different perspective and therefore get the results that come along with my perspective.
Exactly.
That's what happened with me with the cancer. That's what happened with me with asthma. I was a kid when I healed myself of asthma.
Oh, nice.
I'm not sure exactly how old I was, but I think I was around 9 or 10. And growing up Christian, my mother, and in the Black community, we the old folks used to call Jesus Dr. Jesus, because Black people in this country lived for so long without the right to even go to a hospital to be treated, or to have a doctor to treat you if that doctor wasn't Black. So they had to rely on their faith to get them through so much. So many would call Jesus Dr. Jesus. So I got tired of going to the Philadelphia, the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, CHOP. We would go all the time because I would have these asthma attacks. And I was on a pill and a Theodore 500 milligram inhaler. And I was still having these attacks. And in the hospital, they had a wishing well. So I would throw my little coins in the wishing well, and you're supposed to stand there and wish and, get better, and, you'd get better. Well, that didn't work for me. And I told my mother one day, I'm tired of going to the hospital and being sick, and I can't, go out and run around like the other kids and play the way I want to. And God forbid I walk past somebody that was cutting their grass. Oh, that was immediate attack right there. And she said, well, baby, I don't know what to tell you. You better talk to Dr. Jesus. Now, I didn't understand what she meant by that. My little kid brain just couldn't wrap my head around it. But I remembered something from Sunday school that Jesus supposedly said in the Gospels, that if you speak to the mountain, believing that what you say would come to pass, that mountain would get up and move and cast itself into the sea. So I hadn't nothing else, so I just chose to believe it. So I started talking to asthma as if it was a person right in my bedroom. And I told it that it was time for it to leave and not come back ever again. Never had another asthma attack. The next day I went to, my mother sent me to go to school, and she gave me my medicine, and I said, well, I don't need that anymore. And she said, what do you mean? I said, well, you told me to talk to Dr. Jesus. I told asthma to go away. It's not here anymore. So she said, are you sure? And I said, yes, it's not here anymore. And so she didn't make me take the pill, but she gave me my inhaler just in case.
Mhm,
And I still took that inhaler to school every day. Never used it again.
mhm.
Because in my childlike faith, I just believed, and I spoke with such conviction, my body had no choice but to conform.
Exactly.
It really is simple. We just complicate it. And unfortunately, a lot of metaphysical teachers complicate it too with all of these elaborate, sciencey sounding explanations. When it's really simple. Really, it comes down to faith.
Right?
That's really it.
Yep. That's why I call my book The Simplicity of Self-Healing, because it really
Mm,
truly is simple. The universe is very simple, but we've been really taught to make it very complicated. Um, it doesn't need to be. And when we return to simple, life becomes simple. It becomes more
mm.
enjoyable. It becomes more fun. It becomes more flowing and ease filled and peaceful and happy. It's really quite simple.
Yeah, it absolutely is. For me, my most important spiritual practice is gratitude. Gratitude. It helped me begin the healing from whatever was in my lung.
Mhm. Yeah.
It changed my life when I was homeless. I don't know if I told you that story when
No,
we spoke
uh-uh.
personally before.
Yeah.
Um, I during that period, like I said, when I was rejecting spirituality, I would have told you that I was an atheist during a few of those years, although that term never quite was 100% fit,
Mm,
because I still believed that we lived in an intelligent universe. I just didn't believe that there was this being out there deciding
right?
things for us and controlling things like a puppet master. Just
Mhm. Yeah.
that didn't make sense to me. So because I had rejected the spiritual principles that I had built my life on, my life fell apart.
Right. There you go.
And I ended up with these health issues, heart and lung. And on the heels of that, I was terminated from the company that I worked for in 2010. So during that, you know that that was the period of the so-called Great Recession. And when they terminated me, it was so that I could go ahead and get my unemployment. And they said I could come back, but the VP of Human Resources said, well, I shouldn't tell you this. Please keep this to yourself. The company is closing. I don't even know how long I'm going to be here. So even if you do come back, I couldn't tell you how long you're going to have a job. So through some mishaps, I ended up being homeless. There was an issue with my unemployment. It had gotten held up so long, I lost my place. I had moved out of town, out of state from California to Georgia, and then back again. Was hit by a hit and run driver on the way back to California going through Amarillo, Texas. It's just a little bit of damage on the front passenger quarter panel. So the car was perfectly fine. Um, got to Long Beach, and I was sitting outside this cafe that I would go to during the day, trying to network, looking for jobs online and so forth. And they never shut their Wi-Fi off. So I knew I could just park right in front of the cafe and use my computer, watch stuff on YouTube or whatever. And I was watching this movie with my earphones on, and I looked up and there was this white pickup truck coming right at me. And because I had the earphones in, I didn't hear that it had already hit a car that was stopped at the light. And then it was coming right at me, then bounced onto the sidewalk, onto the side of the cafe.
Mm.
So it was damaged, but still drivable. I pulled up the street to the park to sleep later that night. And I'm just in tears because I was just terrified. Because I'm thinking, what if I'm laying down in the car and a truck comes by and smashes the car and I'm dead? Nobody's even going to know I'm in here till my body starts stinking.
Mm.
And I just wanted to feel better. It wasn't even about trying not to be homeless. I figured at least if I was going to be homeless, I want to at least feel better. And just then, a woman that I hated came to mind, Miss Oprah Winfrey. And the reason I hated on that woman was because I didn't like all that touchy feel good stuff. I didn't see any place for it in my life. But she used to talk about gratitude practices and writing in a gratitude journal and having a gratitude practice every day. And so I just said to myself, well, I guess I'll just try this gratitude shit. So I sat there for 2 hours trying to think of something to be grateful for, crying, trying to not let people walking by see me, this big dude in this car crying. And I finally said, well, I guess I'm glad that I have this car, because if I didn't have this car, I'd be over there, behind the bushes or behind the tree like some of the other homeless people. Then the next night I tried again, and I could come up with a few things to be grateful for. By the fourth night, I could rattle off a list of things to be grateful for. And I didn't notice what was happening. My entire energy just changed seemingly overnight. I went from just sullen and constantly stressed, because being homeless is very stressful. And if you don't have mental health issues, you likely will have mental health issues the longer you stay homeless. But within a week and a half of starting to practice gratitude, I had a home and a job, and they both came to me. A stranger at the cafe, same cafe that I got hit in front of, had seen me out on the street, and he said I had, befriended him a little bit, and we talked when I would see him. And he said, I see you out there, and I know you're homeless, and I don't like what I see. I have a spare room in the attic. It's a fully, it's a real room, not just a bare attic. If you'd like, you can have it. Then a friend that I had made at a job years ago that we had, where we worked together, she had gone to another company, and she was a manager there and had an opening, and she thought I'd be perfect for it. So she came looking for me and offered me a job. And that happened within a week and a half of practicing gratitude, whereas I had spent several years doing everything I knew how to do to get off the street, get a job. I was even looking for help with clothes for interviews, because even though you might have good clothes, when you lose your home, after a while, your clothes wear out, may get dirty, and then you may gain weight or lose weight and they don't fit anymore. I couldn't even get help with clothing because I'm a guy, I'm not a veteran, I don't have children, and I don't have disabilities. So I didn't qualify for anybody's program. So after all of that for several years, as soon as I started practicing gratitude and changed my energy, all of a sudden the world responded to me different. And everything started to just come right into place the way it needed to. So that's my main tool, is gratitude, because not only did it begin the healing process from cancer, it also really saved my life and ended my homelessness.
Mhm. That's amazing. So by thinking some new thoughts, took you a little while to go, oh, what can I think? What thoughts can I think that I'm actually grateful for? How can I
Yeah.
change what I'm thinking? And you brought in some new thoughts. Wait a second, let me try thinking some grateful thoughts. And
Yeah.
everything shifted. I love that.
And it's you can start right where you are. That's what I tell people, because sometimes people think they have to go from 0 to 100.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, start where you are. Start with your little bit of faith. What can you say about your health, or about your finances, or about your relationships that is true, that you do believe? Just start with something really small and let that energy begin to build on itself, because as you begin to vibrate a new thought, it will attract other thoughts that are like it and build on itself, build and build and build, just like it did with me, and where I didn't even notice my energy was changing. Everything just changed.
Mhm.
And even if someone is in desperation, start there. I was living in central Georgia. I had bought some raw land, and I bought that land because I wanted somewhere I could go if I didn't have a job and just needed some place to go, somewhere nobody could shoo me away, because I had been shooed away by police, living out in my car on the streets before. I've had people try and get into my vehicle because they're trying to steal vehicles while I'm in there sleeping because they didn't see me. And now, when I say raw land, I literally mean raw land. I bought a chainsaw, chopped down a few trees. I drove my van there, and then another friend, helped me to bring my car that I had, and I slept in my van on this raw land. Nothing, no water, nothing. It was incredibly hard. And I was still in this place of rejecting spirituality, but it was still pulling me. And I remember I was going from where my property is in what was in Washington County. It was halfway between Milledgeville and Sandersville. And I was going to Sandersville to go to the cafe where I could use their Wi-Fi and look for work. And I'm driving down this country road, and I'm screaming in the car, saying, God, if you're out there, do something now. I need help. That's where I had to start. I was in desperation. So you don't have to start in some quote high vibe place like people think. Sometimes just calling out for help will get the ball rolling, because source already knows what we want, certainly knows what we need, but we have to open a space somewhere for that energy to begin pouring through. And the way I see it, source isn't outside of me anyway. It's me.
Yes.
I'm a part of it. But I have to be the opening through which it pours out into my world. So sometimes that opening is created by just crying out in desperation for help.
Yeah. And sometimes it's just as simple as making a clear choice. Just like you chose no more asthma. I'm not doing this anymore. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I've had people reach out and say, I'm so far gone. My body is so bad that, I don't think there's any hope for me. And what do you say to those people?
Hmm. Well, so far, there hasn't been anything in my life that has proven that to be true, because I've always been open to something else, because I really care about how I feel. I really care about how I feel. And I'm always wanting to feel better. So what kept me alive going through it all is the thought that if I give up now, then I won't get to tomorrow where things just might change.
Exactly.
So that kept me going, just that little bit of hope for the future that tomorrow just might be different.
Exactly.
And I remember I grew up wearing glasses. If you see pictures of me when I was a kid, you'll see me wearing these glasses. And I started wearing glasses when I was 3 years old.
Mm.
When I believe I was 18, when I decided I didn't want to wear glasses anymore. And what would happen when I didn't wear glasses for long enough, I would start to have double vision. It was like it
Mm.
was just so weird. It was like that one vision would suddenly, I'd see two, and try walking around seeing everything, seeing two of everything.
Right. Oh my.
And I just used my little Christian faith that I had at the time, and I used the name of Jesus. Now, this is going to work whether it's the name of Jesus or a name of some other divine being or ascended master or whatever it is that you find meaningful, because it's not the name that's important, it's your belief. And I said, in the name of Jesus, my eyes are healed right now. And my eyes were healed. And then about a week later, I had that double vision split out again. I was walking out of my mother's house, walking down the street when it happened, and I kind of got out of balance and I just stopped. And I said, "Oh, no, you don't. You have no power here. Straighten up right now." And it went right back to single vision. And I've never had that issue ever again, ever. Now, I was supposed to wear glasses for the rest of my life.
Right.
I was supposed to have asthma for the rest of my life.
Hmm. Exactly. And we look at the power that these beliefs have, because that is kind of the plan. It's like, well, here you're gonna take these pills for the rest of your life. You're gonna have this chronic condition for the rest of your life. You're gonna wear these glasses for the rest of your life. We don't have to. You're living proof showing
Yeah.
that we get to choose, that we have the power.
We get to choose. And I tell people also, if taking the medication or the procedure feels like the right thing for you, I'm not going to judge that either.
Exactly.
Because if that's what you see as the answer for you, then do it. It just may work for you, if for no other reason than that you believed it would. So there's no rules about it. There's choice.
Exactly. Right.
There's choice.
Yeah.
I took the antidepressants when I thought I needed it. Now, the thing about it is that the antidepressants didn't cure my depression. But what it did do, and it did exactly what both the therapist that sent me to the psychiatrist said and my first psychiatrist told me. They said the value of the antidepressant is that it takes the edge off so that then you can begin to learn new skills to deal with the thoughts.
Hmm.
So I had really good doctors and therapists that didn't present medication as the solution.
Mm, nice.
It was just a bridge. And the way the psychiatrist described it to me, he said, it's like the sun. The sun is out there all the time. It's shining. Even if there's clouds there preventing you from seeing it, the sun is still shining above the clouds. And he said the antidepressant is just the breeze that blows the clouds away so that you can see that the sun is there. But if you don't choose to raise your head and look, you're still not going to see the sun. He used another one saying that you're standing in front of this wall, and on the other side of the wall is the beautiful paradise that you want to be in. But you're standing at this wall, and all you can see is this wall. The antidepressant is just the ladder that helps you get to the top. You still got to do the work to climb up and over. And you've got to stay over there by your choice. So I used it when I thought I needed it, when I didn't know anything else to do. Because I was on the freeway coming from San Clemente back to my home in Long Beach, and I looked on the other side of the freeway, and I said, I wonder what it would be like to drive into oncoming traffic.
Mm.
I was that depressed.
Yeah.
And that's when I knew I needed more help than I could give myself right then. So the medical doctor and the therapist helped me basically stay on this planet until my real answer came. And for me, that came in the form of self-inquiry, which for me was the work, which is taught by Byron Katie. I learned how to question my thoughts rather than accepting and identifying with my thoughts. I had no clue why I was depressed all my life. And there I was in my mid-30s. I would describe to my ex, it would be like, I'm just fine going along with life. And then I wake up one day and it feels like the world's falling apart. And I don't know why. Nothing has changed.
Right.
It's just how I feel has changed. In actuality, how I feel hadn't changed. The feeling was always in there subconsciously. And every once in a while, it would come out where I'm consciously aware of the sadness and the depression. But when I learned to question those thoughts and I saw that these thoughts that were running in the background were lies, then all the emotions and everything else that were built on them just disappeared. And what was revealed to me doing that work was my depression came from my childhood trauma and my relationship with my mother. And I had no idea that that's what was driving the depression. But just by watching someone on YouTube processing through the work about her mommy issues, and I saw myself in her,
Yeah.
I sat there and the tears just came. Tears just came. And I realized my mother was not hurting me. I was hurting me with the thoughts that I was thinking. Whatever she did to me, that was decades ago. I can't even prove that any of that happened because it's just an image in the mind. That's our only proof of the past, really, is what's in our minds. So how I was feeling wasn't because of what happened in the past, because that was done and gone. It was the replaying of it and the relitigating of the wrongs and coming up with, oh, next time I'm going to say this and I'm going to do that. And, and the judgment of it all and the wishing for it to have been different.
Right. Yeah.
But the moment that I began to see that with the thoughts, I was depressed, and that if I didn't believe the thoughts, I'm not depressed, and I saw the difference there, it showed me, oh, these thoughts are lying to me. And it wasn't, I didn't make myself not believe them. I just came to see that the particular thoughts I was thinking weren't true.
Right.
And the depression went away and has never come back.
Right.
And I have been suicidally depressed, even from childhood.
Yep.
I even had been in a mental ward for several weeks after I became homeless, because I already had the depression going, and then becoming homeless and the loss of connection with people and the realization set in that some of the people that I thought would help me did not help me. Ooh, you're talking about dagger to the heart and twist. I ended up in the mental ward. So, but that depression has never come back because those old thoughts passed away. And when those old thoughts passed away, peace was what was left.
Right.
And in that space of peace came new thoughts.
Yes. I love this because whether it's healing depression or healing cancer or any other disease, it's all the same thing. It's all, these are the manifestations of the traumas that we have suffered. And when we learn how to clear those out, we heal. And it really comes down to making a choice. You know, what
Yes.
am I going to believe? How do I want to feel? And I love that you say, I want to feel good. I make it a priority to feel good.
Mhm.
People don't realize that we have the ability to feel good in any moment of any day, no matter what the circumstances are.
And
Peace,
people also sometimes don't believe that it's right for them to feel good.
right? Exactly.
I've
That's
encountered that a lot in counseling with people. How can I feel good when there are starving people over here? How can I feel good when life is hard? How can I feel good when my mother is, dying right now? Or, I'm not able to give my children everything that I want. They don't even believe that they should feel good.
exactly.
And that is really sad because if you can't even believe that you should feel good, now somehow we've got to talk you into feeling it's okay to feel good.
Right? Yeah. I mean, this is how
Yeah.
deep the trauma programming goes. You know, we are these grand beings of light. We are these souls who are created in divine perfection. There's
Yes.
nothing to feel bad about, yet we live in a society that traumatizes us. And
On every side. Oh
yeah,
my goodness. It used to be that the advertisers targeted women in terms of their looks to get you to buy makeup, to get you to go to hair salons, to get you to buy a new blouse, every week,
right.
you know. But now, have you noticed over the past decade and a half, they are doing it to men too now.
Oh,
I can't tell you the number of advertisers I see on Facebook for male girdles, male
I really.
lace front wigs for men, where and these things look so good you can't even tell it's not actual hair, real hair. They
Yeah.
look fabulous these days,
No,
but they're finding ways to make more and more of us, regardless of our gender, regardless of our age, feel bad about ourselves, because when we feel bad, we seek to fill that hole with something. So what do they tell us to fill it with? Shopping. Go and buy this thing or this product, this service, and you're going to feel better. Go and buy this thing, and you're going to get all the ladies or all the guys,
mhm,
you know?
right? There's a pill for that. You know, right? It's like,
And whereas
oh,
we can give it to ourselves right now.
yes.
Um, I counseled with a woman, this was quite a while ago now, about a decade ago now, I guess, back in Long Beach. She was unemployed. She was a spiritual, metaphysical person like me, but she couldn't figure out why she couldn't get a job. And this was before the pandemic thing, before the recession and all of that. But she couldn't get a job. And she had worked her whole life doing high paying jobs. And she was afraid her unemployment was going to run out. So I offered her a coaching session. We met at a cafe. And I asked her why she wanted this job that she thought she wanted. And she said, well, I need money. I said, don't you have money? Well, no. I said, well, if I were to look in your bank account, would your bank account say zero? No. So you have some money, right?
Mm,
Yes. So you have money right now that you don't need because you're not needing to spend it right this second. So that's not why you need a job. Why do you need a job? Well, because I need a place to live. And then I said, well, you have an apartment. And we went down the list why she thought she needed this job. And I started to ask her, well, what if you had the job that you thought you wanted, what would that give you? So we went down that rabbit hole. And she finally said, well, I would be at peace. I said, oh, so that's what this is really all about. You're not at peace and you want to feel at peace. So I said, well, if you were at peace right now, how would I know it? So she started telling me, and she's like, well, what do you, I said, well, what would I see on you if you were at peace? And she said, well, I'd probably be more relaxed in my body, and maybe I'd be smiling, maybe I'd be sitting back, sipping on something delicious. I said, okay. I said, well, if you were at peace, what would your life look like right now in the situation that you're in? How would you be living your days? And she began to describe it. And I saw her energy change. And when I saw the energy change, I said, now stop right now. How are you feeling? And the light bulb went on in her head. And she just started crying. She said, I feel at peace.
Yeah,
I said, you thought that you needed the job to
exactly.
give you peace.
Yeah.
You just gave it to yourself. The lesson is give yourself peace now and do it every day because that's what your heart really desires. Your heart doesn't desire a job, it desires peace.
Yes.
In a week, she had the job she wanted
Right. Isn't that amazing?
because her energy changed and the world responded differently to her because she began to give herself the peace that she wanted.
Exactly. And that's why I say we can all feel good in any moment of any day. We just have to be willing to look for it, to
Yeah.
see that it's already there. And this is how healing happens when we discover that we can allow ourselves to feel peaceful, calm, and happy right now
Yeah.
for no other reason than it simply feels good. And then
Hmm.
the body heals. Because as long as we're looking for something outside ourselves, we're always going to be on edge. And the body cannot heal while we're in search mode. I'm searching for health. I'm searching for wealth. I'm searching for something better. Find it right here. This is where the healing happens inside.
Yeah.
That's
And
such a
I'm working it
profound.
now for myself
Yeah,
yet again. I'm growing. There's always layers of the onion to peel off, they say.
exactly.
So I'm peeling off more and more layers, and it's just mind-boggling how seamlessly it works, and how much ease I'm having in it. Even in, this one thing that I'm dealing with, even in the midst of that, there's still this sense of ease and peace because I know that I am more than just this body
Mhm.
and that I can still feel good even if I'm in pain. I can still, because pain is an interpretation of a physical sensation. There's really no such thing as objective pain. Pain is a subjective experience. I learned that after I had a lung surgery years ago, and I guess they cut a nerve or something. So every once in a while, well, now it's every once in a while, it used to be a daily thing where that muscle would cramp up and it would cramp up so much you could actually see it pop out about an inch and a half. And it would be so painful.
Mhm.
And I could be driving, I could be doing anything. I could be cooking, anything. I was working at a restaurant and I almost dropped a whole tray of plates
Mm,
because it happened while I was walking with everything.
mm,
And one day, I don't know why, but it just came to me when it was happening to just go, what is this? I literally just asked, what is this? What am I really feeling? And so instead of fighting the sensation, because that's what creates pain, is fighting the
Resist.
sensation that we're feeling.
Exactly.
And I just delved into it to see what really it felt like. And I could feel pressure. I could feel squeezing and tightness. And I learned that when I just feel the sensation, I didn't feel it as pain. I just felt the sensation. So we even have the ability to command whether or not we feel pain and to the degree that we feel pain.
I love it.
So my life has just taught me that we have way more power than we know.
Exactly.
Way more power than
Yep.
we know. And sometimes, like this is what I'm going through now, healed myself of cancer, asthma, healed my eyes. I healed a knee injury one night. One of the modalities that I use is access consciousness. So I use the access consciousness clearing statement just on my knee, just doing the clearing statement by itself. And then I felt this pop, then it's never been a problem ever again. And but somehow there's been this one thing that I told you about that I've dealt with for over 20 years now. And never once thought to apply any of this stuff to that.
Oh, interesting,
I
right?
mean,
Right?
and I just blew my mind when I realized this 2 days ago. Wait a minute. Why haven't you been applying what you know to this?
Healer,
You
heal
don't even
thyself.
need new knowledge, really.
Right,
Just use what you know. And then if that doesn't work, then go seek new knowledge. But
right.
you haven't even done what you know. It's like, what the heck?
Right? Oh my gosh, it's so simple that we overlook what we've already got right inside. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
it's amazing.
And everybody has it equally because there is only one of us here. We appear to be individuals,
Mhm.
but we are all part of the one source, God, infinite being, the one life force that is everything. So we all have access to infinite power. So I don't have something to give somebody that they don't have.
Exactly, right?
And even if I can lay my hands on you and you are healed, if your thought patterns are such that you're still believing in that illness, it's going to come back.
Mm,
So ultimately, each person has to find a way to exercise their power, their own power, even if they're getting help from someone else.
exactly. Exactly, because the other person is simply helping you access your own power. What's already in there. Nobody else can give it to us. It's
Yep.
already ours. Wow, what a great message. What an
Yeah.
incredible conversation today, Ben. I really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for sharing
Mm.
all of this with us.
This is fun. I'd love to do it again.
Yes, we'd
I could talk about
love
this stuff forever. I just love it. It's my devotion.
yes. Yes, indeed. We are here to spread this word that everything we seek is already inside. We have
Yes.
the ability, we have the power to do anything. We've set our minds to anything that we choose. Ben, thank you
Absolutely.
so much. Is there something that you'd like to leave our audience with today?
Just know that whatever situation you're in, whether it's health, finances, relationships, jobs, whatever it is, looking for your passion or career in life, if you interpret it as career, because all passions are not career. But whatever the issue is, I want people to know that they do have the ability to create the life that they want. Even if they're in desperation right now, just cry out for help. And I guarantee you, that if you're sincere in crying out for help, help will come. And little by little, new thoughts will come. And with a new thought will come the experience of a new reality. And don't worry about what reality somebody else is living. Let them live their reality. You get to choose a new one.
Exactly. Bravo. Here, here.
Mm.
Thank you so
Mm.
much. Ben, if people would like to reach out to you, how do they do that? Where do they find you?
They can find me on my ministry website, onepower.live. That's ONE, onepower.live. You can also find me on Facebook by my name. You know, my picture is right up there. I'm wearing a clerical collar in my photo, so I'm easy to spot. Um, Feel free to contact with me and connect with me. I'm loving connecting with like-minded people.
Exactly. It's so powerful. So when we connect with like-minded people, we realize that we're not alone. We're not isolated. We're not different. That everything we need is right here and that we are surrounded by love.
Right here and right now. And if anyone is in need of talking to someone, I'm available. I do offer coaching if someone wants someone to listen to them at that level. My coaching is a little bit different because it's not about pouring intellectual knowledge into you. It's about the energy. And if you just want to be friends, reach out. You're welcome.
Beautiful. I am so glad that we have become friends, Benjamin. This is so great. And we were connected by our mutual friends, Keith and Mara Leon. So
Yes, they're my heart.
yes. So thank you all so much for listening to another Solution Sunday. You are the soul. You are the solution. It's right inside. Be courageous enough to look inside, because that's where
Yes.
you will find your answers. So I am Lisa Warner. I'm the author of The Simplicity of Self-Healing, and you can find me at connectingyou2you.com. Until next week, create for yourselves a great week. Feel good because you can. Bye for now.